Hello, everybody. Justin Stivers here. Thank you guys for listening and or watching another episode of the Stivers Show. Today, talking about a topic that is unfortunately everybody knows, but much harder to implement. Something that a lot of businesses, I think, have kind of just forgotten about it and has maybe not placed as much of an emphasis on it, and that's customer service. Right. So really valuing your customers and going out of your way. The old saying, your customer is always right. Maybe true, maybe not. But I've just noticed, I've noticed for a while, but it seems like customer service is just really something that is lacking in most businesses. It's definitely harder, or possibly harder as the business grows, as the business becomes larger. But for a lot of us small business owners, I think we say it. I think we advertise it. I think we tell our clients, hey, we really take care of our clients. We really take good care of our customers. But when it comes right down to it, we don't. And it's just, I think part of the problem is a lot of us just, we maybe feel that everyone treats people with respect, treats people nice. And as the business owner, we are not maybe on the front lines as much as the receptionist, the secretary, the people having day-to-day interaction with the customer, with the client. And we don't really know what's going on. And we just assume all of our clients are getting great customer service. So I wrote down 5 different things that I think are, again, none of this is revolutionary. This is, very, very basic, very standard, but I think it's hopefully a good refresher, and gets us, whether you own a business or whether you're your own business as a realtor or something like that, gets us back in the habit of going the extra mile. Because if you're in a business, professional services, and most businesses are not radically different from their competitors. So for example, in my business, in my core business as an attorney doing probate law, there's plenty of other probate attorneys out there, other alternatives. And so how do you differentiate yourself? And one of the ways really is customer service. And it's hard to, you can't just throw up on the website, hey, we provide great customer service. It's one of those things that has to be experienced, and it will come through in all of the interactions and everything that you do. But I think it has to be taught, it has to be reinforced, and you have to be out there, with your staff, or if it's just you, reminding yourself to do these things. So like I said, none of this is new and revolutionary, but it's hopefully a good refresher and stuff that you can take and implement, which certainly your customers will appreciate. So, number 1, answering the phones and returning phone calls. This is, so basic, but how many of us have called a business or called a restaurant for a question, or wherever we've called somewhere and they haven't returned the call? They don't answer it, right? So in today's world, you can't get away with not answering the phones. I guess you could say also emails, but really talking about phone calls. If somebody's calling you, especially if this is a potential new client, a prospective customer, if you're, almost in any sort of business, if this is a lead, if this is somebody who is searching around for the business that you do, if they're calling around, like I said, you have plenty of competition. I don't care what your business is, you have a lot of competition. And if you don't answer that phone call, and certainly if they leave a message and you don't call them back, but if you don't answer that phone call or have somebody who can answer their phone, they're going to just go down the list, especially if they're just Googling businesses like yours or professionals like you. They're just going one after the next until they get a hold of somebody. And they're not, I don't care. Even if they were referred to you, they're probably still calling other people. And, you think about it from your end, I'm sure you've called a business where you needed a question or you needed to make an appointment or something along those lines, and they don't answer, you don't just say, okay, well, I'll just give them a call back and try again. You're probably, at best just annoyed, probably at worst, frustrated, and not going to call them back. So you need somebody answering the phones at all times. It doesn't have to be you, doesn't, and probably shouldn't be you, depending on your business, but still most businesses, it probably shouldn't be you, but you need somebody answering, answering the phone calls most of the time, right? Even after hours, you can probably have some sort of answering service set up, which, again, if somebody is going to leave a message, if someone's going to go out of their way to leave a message, that call needs to be returned. Again, doesn't have to be you, can be somebody else, can be a staff. And if you're the only person, sure, it can be you, but people want to call back. And again, if they've left them, I mean, this is just, it feels silly saying it, but I've caught, I'm sure you've had this experience. I've had this experience many, many times where you call, you leave a message, and then you're just left waiting. And even if even if at some point they do call you back, you're a little annoyed, right? There's almost a little bit of, indignation, like, well, why didn't you answer my phone call, sort of thing. And that just kind of sets the tone for the rest of the relationship. And I always tell my the people who answer our phones, or do our intakes, I go, listen, before this person decides to hire us, before they speak with me and we do a consultation, they're speaking with you, and that's the first interaction they're going to have with our firm. And if it's a bad one, if you were rude, or we didn't answer their phone calls, or we didn't return their messages, then they're going to be annoyed, or at least not as happy when it finally comes to the time when they speak with me, or do a full consultation with us. However, if you were helpful, if you answered the phone right away, or if you returned their message right away, if you did all of these little things, by the time they get to me, they're much more predisposed. Doesn't mean they will hire us, but they're much more likely, because they had a great experience. And again, if you're trying to tell people and you're trying to differentiate yourself by saying we have great customer service, yet you don't have anyone answering your phones or returning messages, you can't really say that, because that's the first interaction, which kind of goes to the second point, is you need, whenever you're speaking with them, or whenever your staff are speaking with people, anybody really, vendors, prospective clients, other professionals, they need to act and sound like they actually want to speak with that person. I've called other law offices, I've called other vendors, again, and the person answering the phone, it's as if they're annoyed I'm calling to begin with, when I'm assuming the person answering the phone, part of that person's job description is they got to answer the phones. So my first question would be is, why is that? If you've got somebody who doesn't like answering the phones, then why are they answering the phones? Or if you've got somebody who doesn't like speaking with people, why do you have them on the front lines to be speaking with people? So you got to have somebody who can answer the phones and actually sounds like they want to be speaking with those people. Again, sounds very basic, sounds very fundamental, but I can tell you, and I'm sure you can relate, that you've called many of businesses and the initial reaction was like, you're inconveniencing them by calling them. And think about it from if you're the prospective client in that case, if someone's calling your office or calling you to do business with you, and you sound annoyed that they're annoyed that you're even calling, right? I've had this experience in trying to purchase real estate, where I'm calling realtors who I'm assuming they want people to be calling them to sell a property because or, to sell a complex or whatnot. And when you do get them on the line, they're, very short. They're pissed off that you're calling them. You can tell that they want to get you off the phone as quickly as they can. I guess if they've already got the property sold, it makes sense. But then why do you have it listed to begin with? It doesn't matter what business is, though. And again, I think it all goes to setting the tone for what the rest of the relationship with that person is going to be like. So point number 3, I guess, again, kind of ties into that last point of sounding like you want to speak with them. Be nice. Like in today's world, it's, you don't need me to say people are just not very nice nowadays. You've got it on social media, you've got it on, email, you've got it wherever. And people want, we want that human connection, but it's almost like it feels like you're fighting with people all the time, that you're hesitant, I think, to call. And that's why email and other forms of communication have become so much more prevalent, because you don't want to go call and speak with someone because you're afraid they're going to be a jerk to you on the phone, or it's going to be an uncomfortable conversation. And I guess this really can go for email as well, where you got to watch your tone in email. And I've got one vendor that we use, and I tell him, I say, listen, every time I call your staff, she is so rude and just nasty with us that we're almost to the point of, not using you, because it's just a very unenjoyable experience. And for, again, I said in the beginning that old phrase, the customer is always right. Well, we know the customer is not always right. But if somebody is paying you money, or you are providing a service to somebody else, and your client has a complaint, or something is not done the right way, even if they're wrong, what's the point of making them even more wrong? Why would you not want to hear their concern, hear whatever it is, and then fix it for them? Making them more wrong is not going to make them better clients and want to refer you business and do more business with you. It's only going to frustrate them. And again, now if this person is a jerk and is rude, maybe you don't want them as a client and you fire them as a client. But sometimes things, when you're in the buying seat, things just might frustrate you. And even if, maybe you take it out, and you shouldn't, but take it out on the person, and you shouldn't. But I think I just, and this kind of just got me thinking about this podcast, was this specific vendor, because I'm like, man, like we give these people a lot of business, and I just don't get why maybe this person does a really great job in their business, and they have some strength, but clearly customer service is not in her wheelhouse. And I think you, as the business owner, you have to be on the lookout. And I'm sometimes, I have to check in, and because I'm not on the front lines all the time, or really at all, when someone calls our office to make an appointment, or some of the customer, managing some of the customer relationships and calling to check in and providing status updates and all this stuff that we do. So I don't necessarily know every conversation that is going on, which I can't. And, in your business, if you can't micromanage every single conversation, nor do you want to, but you should be checking in periodically to find out what's going on. Obviously, if you're getting complaints, that's an easy way. But sometimes people don't want to complain because, it makes them feel uncomfortable, even though inside they're not really happy with the level of service that you're getting. So you want to speak with your staff. You want to check in. Maybe you record some of the phone calls. Maybe you have you train your team to provide good customer service, but and teaching them to be nice. I don't know if you can teach them how to be nice. That might just be a a natural trait you either have or you don't have. But I think, again, talking big picture, how do you differentiate yourself? A Sounding like you want to speak with that person, being nice to that person goes a super long way in building a great relationship. I mean, even in my business, which is probate, which is a very heavy topic, having to deal with when somebody's passed away, and we're dealing with family members, and a lot of times family members are fighting. They're fighting over, who gets mom's photo album or who gets money or who gets a house and all of that. So they're not really, they're not super happy to be speaking with attorneys to begin with. But I get a lot of feedback from our clients where they say, it's really nice to speak with your staff, to speak with your team, because we genuinely want to speak with them. We're genuinely, helpful. I teach my staff, I say, listen, if you don't know the answer and the person who knows the answer is not available, tell the client, tell the customer, tell the potential client, listen, I don't know. Let me find out and let me get back to you. And then you got to actually do it. And people appreciate that. People, again, where you go out of your way, people are busy. And if they're calling, on their lunch break and they need an answer, how can we best communicate with you? Can we text you? Can we email you? What can we do to make your life easier? And I think, that all helps out. So number 3, be nice. Number 4, this is maybe somewhat industry specific, but give your clients, give the people who hired you, give them updates, keep them informed. And I'm probably somewhat speaking to my attorney people listening. The number one complaint against most attorneys is that they don't provide updates to the client, or they're hard to get a hold of. And let me first say that I am not of the belief that the attorney has to be the one providing the updates all of the time. We have a very large caseload. It is, and on top of all of the things that I do, it is not possible for me to provide updates all of the time to all of my clients. If I did that, I wouldn't get any of other work done. And I tell clients that from the very beginning. I go, listen, if you want to speak with me all of the time, then I'm not the right person, because we've got a team that will be providing you updates and doing the work, et cetera, et cetera. So after you get past that, doesn't mean you are not, we are really, really good at providing updates to our clients. Because again, one of the biggest complaints is that we paid you this money, or we're going to pay you this money, and I haven't heard from you in a month, 2 months, 3 months. That is not going to do anybody any favors. They are not going, first of all, they're not going to be happy with, they're not happy that they're having to pay you to begin with. And now if they're in this position of having to call you for an update, they're a little bit annoyed. And now if your firm is not answering phone calls, now they're even more annoyed. And then if they're not, if they leave you a message and then you don't call them back, they're super annoyed. And then if your staff is not happy, now they're really pissed off. So by the time now they're demanding a call with you, and you, the attorney, and you might not even know that they were trying to get a hold of you. And now it's been 60 days. By the time they get to you, they're so pissed off, ready to fire you, ready to file a bar complaint, and you've got a very unhappy client. It's very, very easy to prevent that from happening. I tell my team, I go, listen, if our client, or if the person who referred them to us, if we need to update them, if they're asking us for a status update, then we've dropped the ball, because we need to be giving them updates before they even think to ask us for an update. When you pay for something, or when you're going to pay for something, especially if it's in a sensitive topic, a legal matter, like in what we deal with, they want to know what's going on. They don't want to be at home losing sleep because they're fighting with their siblings. They're not sure what their attorney's doing. You need to be giving them updates, or even something not as maybe as serious, but if you're buying a house and you want to know what the status is of the contract, of the offer that you submitted, your realtor needs to be providing you updates regularly. Again, it doesn't have to be the realtor, him or herself. It could be a team member. You can automate a lot of this, but they need to be kept informed. Financial advisor, same thing. What's going on? What's the status? Has there been a change in the market? Whatever it is, really any industry. I'm thinking of recently. I had a just my annual physical or annual checkup, annual physical. Went to this doctor. First time using them. Came very highly recommended. Just normal checkup, had blood work done or whatnot. And they told me, hey, we'll have the results for you in 48 hours or something. We'll give you a call. Never heard from them. Okay. Week went by, never heard from them. 2 weeks went by. A fair amount of time went by where finally I had to reach out. I'm asking for the update. And there was no, hey, sorry, we hadn't got back to you. We were busy. Or it was just like, okay, here are your results. And now I'm like, not a huge thing, but like, okay, if you're trying to keep me as a client, this is the first time I'm coming to see you. You promised me this thing. You didn't get, I already paid for all of this. I didn't, obviously the main thing for me going to get a physical is I want to know what the results are. I didn't just come to just have my blood drawn just for the heck of it. I want to know what the actual results are. And if you're not going to tell me, and now I got to be emailing you, not the best way to kind of begin a relationship. So I think, again, any business that you're in, provide updates, make it systematic. Don't make it doesn't have to be sporadic. Maybe every Monday you go through all your clients or whatnot, your files, your cases, and you provide updates. And again, small updates go a long way. Not only does it make the client feel more engaged with you, it also kind of preempts complaints against you, or they've paid you, they want to know what's going on. And that comes to our last point, point number 5, which is keep in contact with your clients, keep in contact with your customers. And what I mean by this is not just the updates, not just providing regular updates to them, but even after the relationship, even after, if you're in a business where it's one and done, your clients, don't look at your clients and your customers as just, a paycheck or just payment. That's a relationship. For every customer that you have, they're in a position to refer you more business. And, I would hope that apart from expecting something, that you're in a business where you want to give more value to the customer. You want to continue to provide more value to the client. And I think that a lot of businesses fail at this. A lot of businesses don't provide genuine updates to not updates, but they don't provide genuine communications with their clients. If they're giving more communications, it's usually they're asking for something. They're like, hey, we got a new service. Do you want to buy this? Or, hey, we've got this, can you do this for us? Give stuff to your clients, give value to the customers, find a way to keep in touch with them. Maybe, during COVID, did you call all of your clients? Did you call all of your customers? Did you call your referral sources, your partners, people you do business with? Did you call them just to check in and say, hey, how's it going? No, I don't need anything. No, I'm fine. Literally just calling to check in and see how you guys are doing. Can I help you? Not expecting, not help in the terms of business, in terms of making money off of them, but is there anything I can help you with? And I think, again, when you're a small business, it's I think it's probably easier to do, but everybody should be doing that. If you're going to advertise great customer service, how can you have good customer service if you're not communicating with your clients? If all you see them as is a transaction, and once that transaction is over, that's the end of the relationship. Well, again, you're probably wanting referrals, but apart from referrals, you want to keep giving value to those customers, keep them coming back to you. Go the extra mile for them. That's what really customer service is. So, again, I could keep going on this, but the 5 points that I really, just kind of summarize: return the phone calls, act and sound like you want to speak with the person you're speaking with, be nice to them, give them updates, and keep in contact with them. I think these are things that you can do on your own. You can and should have regular customer service meetings, trainings with your staff, with your people, and implement this stuff. And then this becomes, you become a place where even if you're in a business such as an attorney, which is not the most enjoyable for people to deal with, it becomes more enjoyable for them to deal with you, right? They're more likely to want to do business, to refer business to you. It becomes more of an enjoyable experience. And now you've got a way where you can really genuinely differentiate yourself from competition. Again, applies to every business. So hope you guys found that useful, and more information on us, just probatefirm.com, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.